Alright, what's going on, legends? Welcome back to another video. Now, as you guys know, I was friends with Lazar, and I'm very close to his brother Luca. And at the CrossFit Games this year, Lazar passed away during the swim event. Personally, since then, I haven't really wanted to engage with anything CrossFit or anything, and I guess that's been my way of dealing with it. But okay, since the CrossFit Games, we got word that CrossFit were going to be more transparent and that they were conducting an investigation into what happened that day at the lake. And yesterday, 3 months on, we got a report, a kind of post, an article on the CrossFit Games website giving us an update, I guess you'd say. So I feel like in today's video, we'll look through that. We'll look through the comments from you guys on social media. There's a lot of backlash and a lot of questions that I feel haven't been answered. And I don't really do this, but I'll give my opinion too. Probably get me cancelled from future events, but it is what it is. All right, the first part says the investigation process. In the immediate aftermath of the 2024 CrossFit Games in August, CrossFit engaged a third-party investigation team to investigate the facts surrounding Lazar's death on August the 8th during individual event 1 and provide recommendations to CrossFit to enhance safety at future CrossFit events. We appreciate your patience as the investigation process unfolded over the last several months. It was important that everybody wanted to speak with the investigators and had an opportunity to be heard. As part of the investigation process, the investigation team conducted dozens of interviews with eyewitnesses and event staff from August through November, visited the lake, reviewed many documents, viewed hours of video footage, and reviewed surrounding media coverage. The investigators also reviewed industry standards and operating procedures relating to water safety at professional sporting events and interviewed external specialists on safety standards for open water swims. They also interviewed experts who research and study medical issues for elite competitive athletes. That's obviously what they've been doing. Now, CrossFit is grateful to everyone who spoke with the investigators during this difficult time to provide witness accounts, critical evidence, and valuable insights. We are not publishing a full report based on privacy and legal considerations. The results of the investigation have been reported to our board of directors. Our focus now is to move forward with actions that minimize our continued commitment to safety at the CrossFit Games. Now, when I first read this, with the bit that they're saying we're not publishing the full report based on privacy and legal considerations, I kind of had that feeling that I was like, well, if there's nothing to hide and everything was squeaky clean, why wouldn't you post it? But I don't know legal stuff that well. John Woolley from Kettlebells and Cocktails 3 months ago predicted this happening. He's obviously had a little bit more dealings in corporate world, and this would be the reason maybe why they would not release the full report. And it kind of makes sense.
Here's a question from Annie. Do you think CrossFit will release the full results of the investigation? I do not think they will.
No, I don't think they will.
I don't think they'll be able to. I think they're going to be as transparent as they can be, but the investigation will likely involve details that involve employees of the company. Not saying those are salacious details, it's just their names are going to be involved. And from a HR, human resources privacy policy, they're not going to be able to just simply release that to the public. The flip side of that is it's all discoverable in court. So it will get released at some point, just not to us.
So, private information, people's personal addresses, lots of things in the report that maybe, doesn't need to be out there. But also, we got from CrossFit no key findings or no summary of the report, only the changes going forward, which may highlight what has been found, quite possibly. Who knows? A lot of this is obviously going to be speculation. I mean, you guys picked up on it, the transparency thing and then the lack of transparency thing. A lot of comments going through that, and a lot of big key athletes basically saying this is pointless, what you've just said. And it is just a lot of corporate jargon that they've put out there. Okay, so looking further into what CrossFit have put out is they have put out the actions and the next steps. We are sharing a summary of the changes we are implementing going forward to uphold even higher safety standards at the CrossFit Games. Number 1, CrossFit is creating a new senior leadership role responsible for safety at the CrossFit Games. Was there not that before? Because that's quite concerning. This person will be responsible for centralizing safety protocols, creating safety and emergency action plans for the Games, overseeing pre-event rehearsals, and coordinating with on-site safety experts, staff, and athletes. This will also include assessing that each event has the required staffing, expertise, and resources on site. This person will be responsible for supporting a culture where athletes, staff, and members of the community feel comfortable elevating safety concerns and have clear paths to do so, which in the past has not been, we've had the PFAA around a while. A lot of the key athletes in the sport, a lot of their concerns have not been heard, and there has been a culture of shush, get on with it. It's true. In the space, that's just how it's been. This leader will report jointly to Dave Castro, who will continue to lead CrossFit Sports Organisation, and to CrossFit CEO Don Fowle. A lot of comments under the CrossFit Games post and around the internet, Reddit, wherever I've looked, saying that Dave Castro should go. How is he still a part of the company? If you're looking at it from a couple of different avenues, if like CrossFit just let him go straight away, it's almost like an admission to guilt that something did happen under his leadership, although it is under his thing. But like, for me, this is what I can't stand by. And it's the fact that safety investigation came back squeaky clean. Everything was done to the board and there was nothing that they could do about it. Dave Castro, as the head of the games, it's just an unfortunate incident. But we don't know that because we have not got the investigation results back. In due time, we may know. So should Dave Castro be let go for that? No, I don't think so. But in personal opinion, from first-hand experience of how he treated Luca and Anya at the CrossFit Games, and then proceeded the next day to lie to all of the athletes, saying that Luca and his family, who he hadn't spoken to, gave their blessing for the games to go forwards, and then coming on the live stream and reiterating that to the whole CrossFit community and everyone there in the stadium. For that, I feel like being the head of the CrossFit Games, that doesn't sit right with me. You've literally lied to everyone that makes this sport and this community what it is. It's almost capitalism at its finest. It's big corporation mentality where you leverage and do what you have to do in moments. So there he said that Luca's family gave blessing, which gave a lot of athletes comfort and a lot of the community a bit more comfort. Let the show go on, make the money, and then deal with the aftermath afterwards. And in this situation of the CrossFit Games, Dave Castro, being the head of the CrossFit Games, put money ahead of truth and the athletes competing and the community, you guys. And for that, that's why I really struggle with seeing him still as part of the CrossFit organisation. Anything you do supporting CrossFit, you're still supporting someone that would openly lie. And not admit it until Luca puts out a statement calling him out and the day after saying, yes, I did that. Now that aside, obviously there was a lot of comments too under the post saying that this new safety person will report to Dave Castro. That doesn't seem safe. And that this person should be independent of Dave Castro. But I feel like this is just how it works in corporate world. In terms of if Dave Castro is the lead CrossFit Sports Organisation officer and he overlooks all of the CrossFit Games, the safety person for the CrossFit Games has to report to him with their findings, and ultimately it relies on Dave to be like, we will implement these changes. And that's just kind of how that will work, but I get that legitimate concern in the comments. Now, the second thing that CrossFit are going to do is they're going to establish a CrossFit Games Safety Advisory Board composed of medical professionals, independent safety experts, and athletes. I feel like they didn't have this before either, which is a little bit concerning. The Independent Advisory Board will meet regularly before and during events to assess risk, review safety protocols, provide feedback, and serve as an additional independent escalation path for any athlete who has concerns related to safety. This advisory board will also have an in-person presence at future CrossFit Games in a support and advisory capacity. CrossFit will recruit advisory board members with diverse expertise, including emergency responders and former athletes, to ensure comprehensive perspective and oversight. CrossFit has started to build a slate of candidates and plans to communicate more details about the appointed safety advisory board members by the end of the year. All right, so CrossFit are looking to build a team that overlooks safety to go with this safety officer. There's a lot of words put together just to say that we're going to bring in a safety board. The thing that comes to my head is surely there was a risk assessment involved in the open water swimming. Like in the UK, for us, if you're going to hold an event, even for us as a brand to have a trade stand at an event, we have to do a risk assessment of the stand itself by law as to the safety to keep people safe. And my question is, could we see it and was it followed? Third thing they're going to do, they are continuing their suspension of open water swimming at future CrossFit Games. And in the future, any swimming at the CrossFit Games will be in a highly controlled environment, such as swimming pools. This point here I get, like removing open water swimming, it's not a necessity, but also I feel like this is a bit of a diversion away from the point. Like if there was adequate safety, like more than likely, if there was adequate safety equipment and personnel at the open water swim event at the games, would this have still happened? But we don't know if there was adequate safety people there because we haven't seen the risk assessment or the report. So, again, speculation. Then we get on to point number 4. Enhanced pre-event rehearsals, communication protocols, and emergency resources. Beginning at the 2025 CrossFit Games, we will conduct additional on-site rehearsals for all event staff, safety personnel, and volunteers to test safety protocols and communications equipment. Again, did they not have rehearsals of events? And if something went wrong, what they would do about it? Which is quite concerning. Athletes are familiar with pre-event briefings before the games, but going forward we will add more robust safety-specific sections during these briefings. These briefings will ensure athletes are aware of risks of each event, the safety protocols and personnel in place to mitigate them, and how to access assistance if they need it. In addition to the in-person briefing, safety measures and protocols will also be distributed in written form to all athletes with clear avenues to ask questions, voice concerns, and escalate issues related to safety. Again, kind of like picking up on the fact that people have raised safety concerns in the past and they've been shunned. That's what I read there between the lines. CrossFit is fortunate to have an incredible community of volunteers and staff with deep expertise and experience, including emergency medicine, water safety and rescue, military, special operations, law enforcement, and over a decade of experience running CrossFit events. Moving forward, CrossFit will ensure paramedic teams and ambulances are on site at all events, even if they are not legally required based on local ordinance and regulations. I mean, when you're pushing 80 athletes to physical limits within events and you're trying to find the fittest on earth, the fact that you might not have an ambulance on the site, which probably doesn't cost a lot in the grand scheme of things, just in case there is a medical emergency in the future, like the fact that you have to highlight that is also a little bit concerning. Point 5, expanding mental health and emotional support resources. We recognise athletes' well-being extends beyond physical safety, and it feels important to extend mental health resources to those who experienced this tragedy this summer. For the 2025 CrossFit Games season, we will integrate mental health professionals into our on-site medical teams. Mental health professionals will be readily available to assist athletes and staff experiencing emotional distress, whether they feel impacted by competition pressure, personal issues, or unforeseen emergencies. I mean, good. And then point 6. In addition to the CrossFit Games Safety Advisory Board, we will establish a broader athlete council to ensure athletes from the CrossFit community can share feedback and have greater influence on CrossFit's protocols of competition, safety, broader athlete welfare, and the business of sport. Unlike prior CrossFit councils, this athlete council will be elected by fellow athletes and will represent athletes from all divisions of competition. We look forward to opening this process to our athletes to ensure we have representation chosen by the entire community. We'll communicate additional details about the council soon and intend to have the first athlete council members chosen by early 2025. To me, that looks like a little bit of a middle finger to the PFAA. I'm not going to lie. Like, that is, to me, I look at what the athlete council is right now. When you look at the members of the PFAA and some that have just been really appointed into the PFAA, you have a broad spectrum of trusted athletes that people stand by. And all of these things that you're talking about that they will do, they are already trying to do. Look, I think CrossFit releasing this sort of report/statement thing has been like a watering can on a blazing fire. It's left a lot of questions are still unanswered. A lot of people want to know details, and the transparency that we have been promised seems to not have come to light. Although I feel like there's zero chance that the lawyers at the private equity firm who own CrossFit will allow them to release or admit anything. But what they will allow is what we've seen in them showing that they're making changes going forward in terms of safety. I think I'm just going to finish with this. Luca put up a statement just shortly after CrossFit released theirs, and he put, "No investigation can reveal anything other than the fact that there was no reaction when it was needed. Shortly after CrossFit announced their third-party investigation, I was informed by a source that they would not be sharing the results. However, I wanted you to hear this directly from them. This was merely a let's buy some time, move on. The community forgets and it's time to cash in on them again. Next time you consider signing up for the Open, paying your affiliation fees, or letting a few CrossFit Inc. orientated media pawns influence you, think carefully about giving your money, power and time to a company that does not value a human's life. It's kind of sad to see the ecosystem as it is right now. There's a lot of negativity around the space. Rightly so. I mean, my heart goes out for Luca, his family, Anya, and a lot of people that, businesses that rely on this kind of CrossFit space, or box owners and people that their living is the affiliate, This tragedy at the CrossFit Games has affected the whole ecosystem, and we're all kind of feeling the brunt of it a little bit. That being said, I know that this community is full of incredible people, and most of you have your heart in the right place, you know what I mean? So I don't see this unfolding rapidly. I feel like this is going to be a gradual thing over time. If anything, Rogue Invitational put on a great, incredible show a couple of weeks ago, which really highlighted the community in the sport. And when we look at it, the methodology, the way of training is an incredible way of training. It's fun. It makes for good sport. It's just that it looks like the leaders at the moment in terms of CrossFit HQ and the personnel that are involved there, some of them, doesn't seem to have the best interest of the community and the athletes that participate in it. That's kind of how I feel. That's kind of how I see this. Do let me know down in the comments below how you feel. No one's told you today, you're an absolute legend. You're an absolute legend. And we'll see you in the next video.